Another day, another loss for the Cubs. And it's the exact same playbook every single game. We're going to talk about why the Cubs can't seem to win and why it always comes down to no hitting, bullpen after a great start. Seen this before, right? And don't forget about the injuries because we got some of that to talk about as well. Cubs 0-3 against the Cardinals. We'll get into that. And do the Cubs have a chance? Are they going to be able to turn this season around, or is it too late? Feels like we're just sitting back and waiting for something to happen. And so far, it's just the Cubs' playoff chances going further and further and further south. And we'll get into that as well. Welcome to the Cubs Baseball channel. Get in the comments section, like and subscribe. Give us a thumbs up. Let's talk some Cubs baseball. What do you say, everybody? Welcome to the Cubs Baseball channel. I'm Mick Gillespie. Great to have you here today at Broadcaster Mick on the socials as we talk some Cubs baseball. All right, let's get into this right off the bat, okay? The Cubs yesterday lost to the Cardinals 3-0. Another game where the wind's blowing in and the Cubs can't score runs, and they can't get hits, and they can't manufacture runs, and they get a guy to third base and Pete Crow Armstrong and Miguel Amaya with the infield in, can't hit the ball away from anyone to give the fastest guy in the league going from first to third, and who knows, maybe scoring, a chance to score. Hits it right at the second baseman. Patrick Wisdom thought he hit a home run, and it's in the breeze. It gets pushed back, and he's out. And it's just another typical Cubs loss. If the home run ball's there, maybe they have a chance. It's not, and it's another loss. Turn that around, and they're 0-3 against the Cardinals this year. And the Cubs are now at the bottom of the NL Central, right? But it's every single game now where you know what you're going to get. A very uninspired effort by these guys. It's like, just show up, swing the bat, you're getting paid, and who gives a crap? That's how it feels. And I'm sure it's frustrating at some point for these guys, but they feel like they don't have a heartbeat. They just don't, except, Hollywood Pete. It's about it. The rest of them, where's the heartbeat at? It just feels like this team is the Tin Man from The Wizard of Oz. All right, another game, another injury. Before the game even started yesterday, Ben Brown, stress reaction in his neck. See him in the dugout. He's at the game. They're going for different opinions, second opinion, third opinion. Who knows how long it takes to get back from a stress reaction in your neck? We've never even heard of this before. It's like that injury Marcus Stroman had last year. You're like, I never heard of that before for a pitcher. Well, that's what happened. Ben Brown does have a long neck. I've always noticed that about him. And maybe, pitching close to 100 pitches in that no-hitter is the reason why. Maybe we should have pulled him out after 80 pitches or 70 pitches, right? Because that's why guys get hurt, because they throw over 100 pitches, even though he hasn't done that. It's been bad luck. I don't even know how you look at this and go, it's anything other than bad luck. I mean, it's been bad luck since the beginning of the season. It's almost like this team is jinxed with the injuries, but that was before the game. Ben Brown had been one of the Cubs' bright spots in a really bad bullpen, a bullpen that just can't get it done. They didn't get it done yesterday, but why would they? When have they got it done? Okay. So Brown's going to be out. So, hey, the good news is, so we got Jordan Wicks. We got Wicks. He's going to slide into that rotation spot that Brown left. We got a little backup up until he pitched. And in the second inning, in those City Connect uniforms, Wicks goes out with a right oblique. Yeah, first start since spending 40 days on the IL. He had a strained left forearm injury. Comes back, looks great. Honestly, looks great. Changeup was there. I mean, he looked kind of a little out of shape, like because I'm sure when you're rehabbing an arm injury, you're probably not doing a whole lot. But it was like didn't take long before he was cruising right along. Then has the injury, and out he goes, and he's going on the IL. And you just do with these right obliques, which is something that everybody seems to get these days. At least it's not an arm injury, but some of these take, 30, 40 days to come back from, a month. So now you're down 2 pitchers. Now, the good news is for the Cubs is Kyle Hendricks. Kyle Hendricks came in and actually was fantastic. And it was honestly great to see because he has been so horrible this year that we thought that his career might be over. And who knows, maybe it is, but maybe it's not. Maybe he can prove a lot of people, including me, wrong and figure it out again. I would love that. No one was ever pulling against him, but when you're getting just walloped like he'd been, it's hard to sit there. Now the wind was blowing in, maybe that helps him. I don't know, but it was a breath of fresh air to see him come in and pitch. And I'm guessing that they're probably going to move him back into the rotation. But like Craig Counsell said in the postgame yesterday, you just threw him like 4 and change. So he's out for a while. So now what? Well, I don't know. I guess you put him back in the rotation and maybe miraculously he's figured it out. And I would love to see that. But at the end of the day, that was really the bright spot for the Cubs. And we can get into it now. This team just can't hit. They just can't hit anymore. They did at the beginning of the season. And then all of these guys that have gone on the IL and come back, they've come back and they're just not producing. It's like, hey, so-and-so, Bellinger's hitting 300. Had the 3-run homer, but he's not a force in the lineup like he was last year. Honestly, there's no one in this lineup that you even look at and go, you know what? I really got to work around this guy. There's a lot of at-bats that you watch, and they're not even competitive. Like Miguel Amaya, I mean, you might as well just write 0 for 4 if he's in the lineup. Christopher Morel, I still think he's hurt because he's another one that's out all the time now. And it could be because I've said before, he hasn't been the same since he fouled that pitch off of his foot. And then, when he's not at third base, which he hasn't been great, maybe that experiment's over. I don't know. Who do you put there? Anytime you put Patrick Wisdom in the game with a glove, your defense is going way down. And the frustrating part about this team is that they hung their hat on defense last year. They still have Dansby Swanson and Nico Horner. They still have Cody Bellinger. Nick Madrigal is in the minor leagues because he was really just not helping at all. But he played some third base last year. But, I mean, you shouldn't have an infield that's this bad. But the catcher spot is a non-starter for me. There's just so many issues right now. So how do you turn it around? Well, I still think that it starts with Dansby Swanson. He's your leader. I mean, when you're not, watching the Cubs, you're seeing on Marquee, here's another video of the big soccer game coming up with Dansby Swanson's wife. It's like Marquee's like Cubs baseball. And then when you watch it, they want to talk more about the women's basketball team and the soccer team than the baseball game. That's frustrating. It's losing. And then it's like, hey, don't forget about the women's basketball game. I don't care about the women's basketball game. I want to figure out who's going to start hitting for this team. Who? When is someone going to step up and be the leader of the team? That's Dansby Swanson's job. And to me, that's the frustrating thing. Here's the guy that's telling you who to put on your roster, and this is what you need to do. And he's an easy out. And his confidence looks so bad right now, but I still think the key to turning the season around, because I feel like even though he's batting 8th in the lineup now, which is where I've always felt like he fit in best. I mean, that's where he was in Atlanta when they won the World Series, and he was a good hit. He was a good player with his defense, his leadership, his ability to run the bases. He does a lot of things right, but he's not someone in the lineup that you worry a ton about. But normally, you look at him and he's someone that you would figure, 260 batting average. I mean, on this team, 260 would be like on other teams like 330. Another 3-hit day for the Cubs, and kind of talking about where Swanson is right now. He's hitting 217, and Suzuki and Bellinger at 260. But not getting any production out of really many of these guys. Haps batting 212. At one point, do you shake things up? I mean, is a miracle going to happen again this year, like last year? And this is what we saw last year. This is where we thought, well, it's time to sell and build, which is what the track that the team was on last year. Then they went on that run, and then it was like, hey, we bought, we traded a starting pitcher for a rental to the Nationals. We gave up Nelson Velasquez for Quas. I don't know. Maybe that's not that bad of a deal. I mean, Velasquez, I think, is going to be a pretty good player, but Quas isn't helping you. I mean, we got a whole minor league system of Quasses. So let's go give one of those guys a chance. But what does shake it up mean? I mean, what does that entail? I mean, I wouldn't mind having Alexander Canario play about a week in left field and see what he can do, see if he can generate something. I wouldn't mind having Owen Casey out in right field some. But at what point do you look at this season and go, you know what? Maybe we need to be building for next year instead of trading away these prospects that are, that make the Cubs the second best organization prospect-wise in baseball, which is what a lot of you guys want to do. And I get it. I mean, that's, when you have a good team that has a chance to win a World Series, you make those moves. This team has a 22% chance of making the playoffs and a 1% chance of winning the World Series. So when you start lining up all your prospects and going, hey, you're out of here. And so some of you guys are going to be like, well, who cares? I mean, what's it matter? Well, the point is that moving these guys out isn't going to make this team better in the long run. It's moving the guys out that are on the big league roster, figuring out how, look, if Ian Happ isn't cutting it here, and I know he doesn't have a no trade clause, but it makes sense to free up that position and get him out somewhere else. Would you trade Seiya Suzuki? I don't know. Would you trade Cody Bellinger? I don't know. Maybe. The reason why is because this team is this close to not making the playoffs, just like they did last year. Now, it's only June 15th. But at some point, you got to decide whether to fish or cut bait. And every single game, there's the same thing. Great starting pitching. Bullpen that can't get it done because the team never scores, and when they do, they don't give you very much of a lead. You never have a lead of more than 3 runs. And to me, how long does this go on? Because the worst thing that can happen to you is that you get to the end of the season and you traded away players and you took opportunities away from younger players to see what they're all about to end up a game out. And right now, I mean, they're not even in the picture. To me, I mean, I know that the wild card makes everybody have an opportunity, but it just doesn't feel like what I'm seeing every day is going to translate into winning. So they've got to figure it out. They've got to either something's got to flip, or we got to start being really serious about moving out some of these guys and giving some of these young guys an opportunity. Because I'll tell you this, the worst thing that they can do is try to trade like the Angels did last year with the team that stinks and then end up trading away your prospects for nothing. And it just felt like that with those guys last year. At least the Cubs made a run and got pretty close. But frustrating. And I don't know. All right, let's talk about the next game. You guys tell me what you think in the comment section. I don't even know what to say. Cubs and Cardinals, though, again today. It's a 120 game at Wrigley Field. Jordan Wicks, 1-2 record. Andre Pallante, 2-2 with a 4.88. Cubs have got to score runs off of some of these starters. So one of the excuses that we kept hearing was, the Cubs, they've played this big host of great starters. And that's why they haven't had any success. It's because of the starters that they were facing. Yeah, I don't think that's the case. I don't think it's the starters. I think it's the offense. So hopefully the offense can get going today and come up with some big hits. But that's the matchup, and it's not the matchup because it says Jordan Wicks in there. So, all right, fix the graphic. There it is. Shota Mania today against the Cardinals. Shota 6-1, a 1.96 ERA. Andre Pallante 2-2 with a 4.88. This is the kind of game the Cubs have to win. They've got the pitching matchup. They're desperate for a win. Every time they lose now, they're falling further and further under the 500 mark. And you've got to stay at 500 if you're going to win the division. You're going to make the playoffs. You got to be at 500. So the season's not lost yet. But the Cubs, since the end of April, are one of the worst teams in baseball. I mean, they rival the White Sox with the losing. So at some point, they've either got to figure it out, or like I said before, they need to fish or cut bait. They figure out what they're doing. And I don't know that making a decision to start trading away prospects to try to bolster this team is a good idea, because it's not like they're just missing one piece and they would be right there. I mean, look, you're going to go trade for a catcher. Who are you going to give up for that guy? How long are you going to have him for? Then you got to add some people to the bullpen. Then you got to get somebody else in there that can hit. I mean, really. I mean, and maybe one guy gets going, and then the second guy gets going, and then all of a sudden you can flip a switch. And that's why I think it's Dansby Swanson. It's his team. He's the team leader. He's got to find himself. Cody Bellinger can be picked up in there. Seiya Suzuki can be picked up in there. Something's got to happen to change the vibe, because this team plays like a dead fish. All right, you guys tell me if I'm right or I'm wrong. I'm just frustrated. I'm also going to do a call-in show. So call in. I want to hear what you think. Tell me I'm wrong, please. Tell me I'm wrong. All right, thanks for hanging out on the Cubs Baseball channel. And again, Anthony and I will keep you guys updated on everything. Cubs, as hard as it is to say right now, go Cubs.